Hello, Maverick traders, and welcome out to your currency market recap. This is Ankit today, and let's begin a market coverage. It's a Tuesday, January the 23rd. Let's get into it. Again, we'll be doing a top-down analysis, taking a look at what's really going on in the markets, taking a look at broad market analysis, bringing it down into the currency market, taking a look at the currency baskets, and then talk about possible setups here. So let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So let's take a look at market analysis and start with where we are. I'm actually going to start with where we are on the news of the day. We are still strong in the markets. Again, we are at the highs and pushing every single day. So again, pretty strong +3 environment in the equity markets. Now, in the currency markets, we have Bank of Japan last night, but again, no changes from them. So as usual, Japanese yen fell on the news and nothing really went. Now, with the U.S. markets, the bond yields and the dollar remain strong. They're seeing it teetering back and forth, but overall, if you just take a look at the daily trend, they're more on the stronger side than the weaker side. Now, let's take a look at the market performance, and let's take a look at starting with the currency markets. We are sitting at Japanese yen, negative 0.17%. Again, it was not really a big move. Remember, now we're not seeing a big falling down move in the Japanese yen on the Bank of Japan. It was as expected. Nothing really was out of the ordinary. Now, the US dollar did increase early today, but then give up some of the gain. So again, 0.01. You can see the theme across the board. It was not really a big moving day. All the percentages were less than 0.5%, which again, telling you was not a big moving day. Swiss franc, euro, pound, they all sort of performed weak. And then we've seen the Canadian dollar strengthening. We've seen the Aussie and seeing the Kiwi. A little bit counter-turn moves over here because we have the Aussie and the Kiwi on the weaker side. But for the shorter term, we're getting a bounce here. Maybe that's why we are seeing smaller moves, because they are just some counter-turn moves for the short term, correcting or some of the bear rally patterns that we're seeing. Now, in the equity markets, you can see it was not a big moving day, but at the same time, we are still staying pretty strong. The S&P at all-time highs, BT almost ready to break out, gold slightly higher, and oil slightly lower. So again, nothing really pressing in the markets today. Again, I think that's why we're not really seeing a big move in the overall currency market as well. The crypto markets were down the most, minus 3.52%. Again, we are seeing continued weakness in the crypto market after that Bitcoin ETF launch. You can see that Bitcoin stays weak and some big moves in Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Again, a classic buy the rumor, sell the news. We really haven't seen a lot of buying come in after that ETF was launched. So we'll wait and see what's happening. Now, let's take a look at where we are as far as our trend score goes. Again, the markets, I think we are now at a +3. So again, this will be a green as well. And we'll move our slider to a +3. And let's take a look at the chart here. You can see markets are just pushing higher into new highs. So again, very bullish price action. This is the price action that you don't want to get against. These are strong moves, holding on to most of the gains. Take a look at like today. It actually closed at the highs of that candle. So at the same time, again, I think the market's likely to outperform until we get a massive reversal sign, which again I'm not really seeing across the board at this point. Now, taking a look at the schedule, we definitely have a lot more busier second half of the week. Starting with overnight, we have the tomorrow morning we had the PMI numbers out of the Eurozone, but the most important one is we have the Canadian Bank of Canada rate statement. And then we have some manufacturing PMI out of the US as well. So tomorrow is an important day for Euro, Pound, and the USD as far as the manufacturing and services PMI number goes. And then we have the Bank of Canada press conference tomorrow. Again, they're not expecting any change. Remember, right now, we are not really expecting any change from central bank. But what's important is their outlook. Are they dovish? Are they hawkish? That's what's really going to drive the markets and the US, the Canadian dollar as well. So something to focus on. I'm definitely more excited for tomorrow than today. Today was not really a big day in the markets. I want to highlight, just go back to our trend score. I just want to highlight.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
I just want to highlight in our trend score where we are. As you can see, we are more on the plus side of +2 euro, pound, dollar, and CAD. So dollar and CAD still relatively staying strong, but euro and pound did pull back today. On the other hand, Aussie and Kiwi, they're trend-wise, they're weaker, but they did come out stronger. So again, a bit of a mix and match moves. The yen stays weak, and even the Swiss franc, even though the trend score is 0, I think is slowly shifting towards left. We'll take a look at it when we get into the trend score for the Swiss franc. Now let's jump into our currency analysis and take a look at the velocity score. And let's just see where we are. You can see a lot of the things were either -1 or +1. Remember, the big moves happen when you're sitting at +2, +3, -2, -3. So a bit of a mild day in the markets. I won't really read too much. Stay focused on the trend score. That's really where you're going to find some consistency. That's really where you want to be. You don't want to be in the small moves here and there, but you want to be in big moves. And usually that happens where the direction is. And that's why we put a lot of emphasis on the trend score. Now, let's take a look at the possible trades and see what we can find. And looking at the markets here, let me just jump into Swiss franc first. And let me tell you why I think it's kind of moving lower, because you can see this thing is slowly moving lower. Now, the 13-day EMA is turning lower. Parabolic SAR is lower. It's actually telling me that it wants to go lower than higher. So at the same time, we don't want to be too aggressive on this because the Swiss franc has been relatively strong overall, but I do like to the downside. I also want to talk about Aussie and Kiwi because, again, they're kind of bouncing back and forth. You can see where the trend score is, and we can see how the velocity is kind of playing out on a daily chart or even a 4-hour chart. It was pretty weak, and now it's going to go on sideways. So I want you to be a little bit more careful with some of these growth currencies. They are not following a traditional relative strength and weakness when it comes to the correlations. They're doing their own thing. Now, when we take a look at the dollar, you can see dollar did attempt to break out today, and it pulled back. So at this point, dollar is range bound. Remember, dollar is not as weak of a currency as it was back in November and December. So I think this is more like a neutral zone, support or resistance. So I wouldn't really read too much on it. I don't really want to short the dollar. I think dollar is likely to be a good long on the pullbacks. But right now, it's a little messy in this range. So yen looks more clear to me as far as a relative weak currency go. You can see that in a currency pair like dollar yen last night, you know, it did sort of had its move and then it reversed back up. So 4-hour chart, got a high base going, a break above that 140.64 will create a nice little breakout. And with the daily chart, we got a nice little base setup here too. So that's one area that I'll be looking at. Possibly maybe put a buy stop order there just in case if we get a move, I want to be able to catch that move. On the other hand, dollar Swiss franc is also on my list here. It's just consolidating here a little bit. This kind of reminds me of a little bit of price action over here. Remember the theme here. We got a consolidation and we got a breakout. We got a consolidation, we got a breakout. So you want to be a little bit wary of these consolidation phases, but look for a breakout. And when they do break out, you want to be long at that point. But right now, again, a lot of this dollar crosses. I mean, take a look at Aussie USD. What is it doing? It's making a low base. Kiwi dollar is going lower. So a lot of the currencies are showing more weakness and strength against the dollar. So even though we're pulling back a little bit today, I would really don't want to be short at this point. I want to be long on those pullbacks. The only area where the dollar kind of looks weak is the dollar CAD. But again, maybe we'll find out what happened with the Canadian dollar tomorrow. Remember, Canadian dollar was not going anywhere until last week when we had a breakout. Let's go to the daily chart. We got a breakout here. Now we're just consolidating. So let's see what happens with the Bank of Canada rate statement tomorrow. But I think the primary focus for me overnight will be euro. But what happens with the euro? What happens with the pound? They all seems to be going sideways a little bit. So let's be a little careful here. Let's just put some support resistance areas, see whichever area it breaks first, and then we'll jump on. And in conclusion, I think the equity markets are likely to remain strong, but our focus is going to shift into economic data. That's going to come out tomorrow, overnight, and during the day tomorrow. Outside of that, play relative to the weakness. We don't have a whole lot of volatility that you really need to worry about. So the only way to make consistent money in the markets is by, keeping an eye on the trend score, trading with the markets, use pullbacks to buy into, and when you don't have a whole lot of moves, stay in cash. That's just the way market has moved so far in January. It has its pockets of runs and a pocket of consolidation. Stay out when the consolidation is taking place, but when you identify a breakout, go for it. I think that's the plan here. We'll jump back in tomorrow. We'll see what's moving. And until then, happy trading. Cheers.